Jones versus Combs, Part 9. So, again, now we're in the meat of the court documents. I'm not going to read all of it. A lot of it is just legalese. I'm going to skip through a lot of this, okay? I'm going to go down to bullet 180. Again, if you want to read it all the way through, you can pause the screen. But we've named all the defendants. Defendants have unlawfully increased their profits by luring and deceiving producers, musicians, writers, creators, and artists, such as the plaintiff, to transport drugs, ecstasy, cocaine, GHB, ketamine, marijuana, and mushrooms, transport firearms, solicit minors, exotic dancers, sex workers, and to utilize their talents and labor to produce music and other tangible goods and services without compensation. And so this is why all these people are being named, and they're being named as part of a RICO enterprise. If you go to 180, I'm going to skip down. Defendants assumed different roles in agreeing to carry out a mail and wire fraud scheme to acquire drugs, firearms, prostitutes, minors, sex workers, and the labors of producers, musicians, writers, creators, and artists, such as plaintiff, to utilize their talents and labor to produce music and other tangible goods and services without compensation. Because you remember, guys, they promised the moon. They don't pay these people. They do not pay them. Going down to 182. As set forth herein, defendants benefited financially from their scheme to defraud plaintiff, and that plaintiff is Rodney Jones, by intimidating plaintiff with threats of violence, threatening to eat his face, displaying and distributing guns in plaintiff's presence, bragging about having law enforcement under control, bragging about murdering people, and bragging about bribing witnesses and jurors from in the criminal case concerning the 1999 NYC nightclub shooting with Shine. Oh gosh, so they didn't say that the first time. You recall back in earlier in me reading the court documents, Rodney Jones says that Diddy told him that J-Lo carried the gun in the nightclub in her purse. He was the one that actually did the shooting, and you all know Shine took the fall. Well, apparently they bragged because they said they bribed witnesses and jurors, but damn, didn't Shine go to jail? I can't remember. Threats of isolation from the music and entertainment industry, parading powerful music industry executives such as defendants Lucian Charles Grange, Ethiopia at his parties filled with sex workers, minors, and illegal drugs. And again, they're naming all those drugs. Threats of non-payment for work completed, fake promises of cash payments, $250,000, producer of the Year Grammy Awards, and guaranteed access to future projects, a $20 million home on Star Island in Miami, which defendant would not have done but for the existence of this scheme. Okay, let me also skip down further. Okay, number 183. Basically, to enrich themselves financially and sexually at the expense of producers, musicians, writers, creators, and artists by maximizing defendants' revenues through fraudulent means. As set forth herein, defendants benefited financially from their scheme to defraud the plaintiff, included by making fake representations that claim that loyalty and obedience to Diddy will result in cash payments, Grammy Awards, access to future projects, access to famous celebrities, access to famous athletes, a $20 million home on Star Island in Miami. Promises that plaintiff can increase his chance of securing cash payments, Grammy Awards, and then it basically lists the same thing again. If he solicits sex workers, solicit prostitutes, engage in homosexual acts, by distributing and transporting firearms, by distributing and transporting drugs, by involuntarily sleeping with sex workers in the presence of Diddy, and by utilizing their talents and labor to produce music and other tangible goods and services without compensation, which defendants would not have done but for the existence of the scheme. So what he's saying is all these people told him, be loyal and obey Diddy. Recruit sex workers, recruit prostitutes, engage in homosexual acts, transport firearms, transport drugs, and it says involved to sleep with sex workers. Remember that he was drugged and woke up and he was in bed with sex workers. So I'll do all of those things, and then all those things that you can get. Upon information and belief, this RICO enterprise has existed for at least 20 years, dating back to the 1999 nightclub shooting in NYC, when Mr. Combs required his then girlfriend Jennifer Lopez to transport his illegal firearms into the New York City nightclub. Mr. Combs forced his then artist Shine to assume responsibility for the shooting of several individuals. Mr. Combs used his power, money, and influence to bribe jurors and witnesses, such as a friend of the shooting victim, Natania Rubin, who reported to law enforcement that she saw Mr. Combs and not Shine pull the trigger and shoot her friend in the face. But she later testified at Mr. Combs' criminal trial that she was tying her shoe, and may not have seen who shot the gun. She later confessed that Mr. Combs paid her. The RICO enterprise continued throughout the years. Oh gosh, y'all, now I'm starting to talk about Cassie. Including Mr. Combs' 10-year relationship with his girlfriend, Cassie Ventura. According to Ms. Ventura's civil complaint, this RICO enterprise continued in her relationship when Mr. Combs forced her to carry his gun in her purse, forced her to engage in unwanted sexual acts with male prostitute sex workers, forced her to consume dangerous amounts of ecstasy, cocaine, GHB, ketamine, marijuana, and alcohol, and paying a member of his security team $5,000 to blow up the vehicle of Kid Cudi because he was jealous and insecure of their relationship. Wow. Let's see what else. The RICO enterprise continued from September 22nd to the present day, as evidenced by the hundreds of hours of video and audio recordings in the plaintiff's possession. Defendants Sean Combs, Justin Combs, Christina Coram, his assistants, and staff all orchestrated, participated, managed, and executed the RICO enterprise by purchasing and distributing firearms, by requiring the solicitation of sexual encounters with prostitutes, sex workers, and minors, and by forcing artists, creatives, musicians, and producers to utilize their talents and later to produce music and other tangible goods and services without compensation. And it's basically repeating itself in 187. Let's go down to 188. As part of the scheme, the defendant required the artists, creative musicians, and producers to visit strip clubs, wearing exclusive, authentic bad boy merchandise, and to use the names and reputation of Mr. Combs to solicit sex workers and prostitutes. Additionally, Mr. Combs used the prospects of winning Grammy Awards, purchasing $20 million homes, participating in future projects, and making $250,000 cash payments and meeting influential music executives such as defendants Lucian Charles Grange in Ethiopia. This pattern of false representations was disseminated to artists, creatives, musicians, and producers who reside in California, Florida, New York, and around the country by defendants based in California and New York under the direction and on behalf of defendants in New York. The dissemination typically used interstate telephone wires, social media messages, and electronic mail. Y'all, I'm going to stop right there because I can't read no more. I got to get ready for work. Please like, subscribe, and comment on all of these videos. This is totally blowing my mind. This just happened, y'all. So even though it's mentioning things from the past, what happened to Mr. Jones, remember, is from 2022 and 2023, like an 18-month period. This is recent. So these people could definitely, if this is true and they really are investigated, these players could definitely be charged. Leave me your comments.